Hi, I'm Catherine Gordon.
I'm Jessie Riley.
I'm Jeff Yasquez from Startuo Help. I've owned my own wholesale bakery, my own restaurant. I've brought a food product to market.
I am a food educator. I've also written several books, two of which are on desserts because I was trained as a pastry chef.
I am also a culinary educator. I've taught at a number of schools in the New York City area. We noticed that when students were graduating, they had ideas. And what do I do with that?
We work with food industry professionals, new entrepreneurs. We work with everything from existing businesses, expanding, to people who want to launch a food product.
Over the years, Food Startup Help, we have helped many people, and it's been quite interesting because together we each have our strengths.
We have an educational video series that people can subscribe to, and we also have a book on how to successfully launch a food product to try to help entrepreneurs all the way.
It's going to be indispensable of bringing a food product to market, of teaching you all of the things that you need to be aware of to give you the best chances of success. I'm Jeff from Food Startup Help, and I'm here with Josh McCain to ask him about his chocolate business, Josh Chocolates, and to ask him all of the trials and tribulations and growing pains that you have growing, your chocolate business. So, Josh, we know each other for a while, right? We met at Institute of Culinary Education, yes. And you've taken off from there. So my first question is, why chocolates? Why did you get involved in that business? And tell me about it and what you're experiencing, and I'll ask you a bunch of questions as we go.
Sounds great. Chocolate's your fault, believe it or not. It really is. I had you during Mod 1 for the pastry program at ICE, and during that mod we had the chocolate tasting, and I remember you passed a ton of different chocolate out to all of us, and we lined it up and we tasted from the very basic milk chocolates to very nice Valrhona. We were able to play with the cocoa beans. We were able to crush them. We were able to taste them when they're roasted. We were able to play with them while they're raw, and I thought that was a really fun thing to do, to see where it came from and where it was going. And then I tasted Valrhona for the first time, and my mind was blown. It was something I'd never tasted before, and I thought, I need to learn how to do this. This is something that I can do. This is something that would make me happy, just as a hobby. So I did, and I started by going to a local bean to bar chocolate place, chocolate shop in New Jersey. I tried to get through the front door. So that I could basically stagiaire. Stagiaire is, for anybody who doesn't know what that is, just a program where you work for somebody, usually for free, just to learn a new skill set.
Right, to gain knowledge.
Yes, yeah. And so I tried to enter the doors and stagiaire. It was a chocolate place right before Valentine's Day. They were very busy. I was very busy with my schedule as well. So. Our schedules just couldn't match up, but my impatience, as I can be sometimes very impatient, I decided to get a melanger, which is a machine that's used to crush cocoa beans, or cocoa nibs, and I bought my first set of nibs, or not nibs, I'm sorry, I bought my first set of beans, did the process of sorting, roasting, crushing, grinding, and I started making, and I was hooked. Before I sent them out to anyone else to try, I brought them to school where I asked for your feedback on the chocolate.
And they were great.
And thank you. And you gave some very honest feedback as well. Some of the mistakes I was making, and I fixed those mistakes, and I decided to start just sending them as gifts to friends and family. I sent them to work with my fiance, Jennifer. Her coworkers wanted to buy more chocolate. That I didn't send it to work with her to sell. Right. I just sent it as gifts, as a thank you for they all work in the healthcare, so as a thank you for what they're doing, especially during the time of COVID. they bought chocolate. They asked how much. I said, I better figure out this pricing really quick. So I did. Within a night, I figured out the pricing of it. I did that just through some training I had at ICE through the cult.
So all of this stuff kind of took you by surprise, essentially? I mean, it sounds, I don't know if that was the intention you had when you started school, right? I mean, so this kind of took you step by step as a surprise, right? So up until that point, what were you experiencing in terms of, like, did you have trouble with the initial production? Were you having trouble getting your formulas together? Were you, tell me about that up until that point, and then I'll let you loose on like when sales started happening.
Now, so production for me was it was a lot of good mistakes happening up front. I learned the hard way that some cocoa beans are more viscous than some others, which taught me the importance of adding cocoa butter to some batches, whereas some batches you don't. I started off with the intent of being a two ingredient chocolate company, because some of the other chocolate companies I was researching, that's what they were doing, and I wanted to be a part of that. I quickly realized I didn't have the equipment to be a two ingredient. The emulsifications weren't holding the right way because I wasn't able to cool things quick enough. And the cocoa bean I was using was probably different than the cocoa bean other people were using, because it was like thick pudding, and I couldn't put it into bonbon mold, and I couldn't form a bar out of it without a lot of bubbles and a lot of issues in the production. And then you and I actually had the conversation, and you said, why don't you just use the sunflower less than, and why don't you add a little bit more cocoa butter? And I did, and wow, that worked. So that was probably up front the biggest issue, and then just a series of other like problems to be solved along the way, that nothing else really sticks in mind. Yeah.
Gotcha. And that's a normal thing. Everyone goes through that process, right, of developing that product, one that they're proud of and fits the market and so on, right?
Yeah.
So you started selling, right, without being prepared for selling. So how about that? You did your costing. How did that work out once you did your costing? And, how did you take it from there?
Packaging. Packaging is a beast. Packaging is a nightmare. I didn't have packaging for chocolate bars up front, so I was quite literally cutting parchment paper, hand wrapping everything in parchment paper, taping it with Scotch tape, and writing on a small label that you would use in mail what the bar was. And at this point, I wasn't in the commercial kitchen yet, because again, this is all just being gifted for the most part, and I was trying to build the concept. Sure. So packaging was a nightmare up front, and then it grew into little plastic bags, and then eventually it grew into some more formalized packaging. But,
gotcha.
Yeah.
And how about the formalized packaging process? How was that for you? Was that difficult? Run into any issues?
It wasn't. I did a quick Google search. I think I got lucky with that. Everything just flowed super quick. I'm learning in this business that as long as you can look at a problem and start solving it yourself, and be okay with failing a couple times, and fixing your issues, then it can be a lot cheaper to solve problems. I could have hired somebody as an advisor to find packaging. I could have hired somebody as a designer, which to come up with the logo and the branding. But I used a program to find the right branding. I did a social test on the brand through Instagram, through my own personal account, and through a couple of friends' accounts, to figure out which was the best branding between a few different brands. And then one stuck quite well, so we chose that. When it came to the packaging, I found a business on, I think it was an Instagram ad that just popped up, because it probably heard me thinking about packaging. So an Instagram ad popped up, and it led me to a packaging company called Your Box Solutions, which I contacted them. I gave them dimensions of the molds that I was using. They gave me a list of different designers that could take my already designed label or brand and apply it to their packaging. So So with my dimensions, they were able to cut a die for my bars. They were able to, so for the single bars, and they were able to cut another die for the point of sale box, which holds 10 single bars. And then they have a minimum quantity that you have to order, and then,
Sure.
you know.
And how is that for the minimum quantities? I mean, because that's such a tough decision for people to make. So how is that for you? Like, did it work out financially in those initial orders? You know, you typically order less and it costs more money. So like, how did that work out for you?
Yeah, so for the first order, I ordered 250 boxes. I think it was somewhere around 91 cents a box, which is quite expensive for a chocolate bar. I got lucky because it was a risk, right? I was ordering these boxes that I hadn't tested yet. But again, it was a very small quantity. But the boxes worked. They worked quite well. So I ordered more. I ordered 500 more, and I quickly sold chocolate. And then I ordered 1,000 more. I quickly ran out of those. And I just received 5,000 more boxes. And now I'm at the problem because the boxes came as a blank slate. They had the brand on it, but they didn't have the labeling of the product. But which creates another issue, because labeling a box with a sticker and then putting nutritional facts on the box with the sticker is a huge labor-intensive project, which skyrockets labor costs. If I were to pay somebody to do it, labor costs would skyrocket for the product. So that led me to the next problem of how do I reduce the labor costs and increase the efficiencies of packaging, which is simply, by this time, I've already tested the products and they're working on the market. I've sold well over 1,000 of the 6 bars that I currently have, so people are happy to buy them. Now I know I can formalize each product into its own box.
Gotcha.
And
you're ready to make that investment now.
My designer's working on it right now,
Okay,
which
awesome.
is
That's an awesome growth stage when you get to that point. Not to talk about myself for a moment, but like I'm going through bringing a product to market, and we are still on that one box where we're going to label separately, you know, once it's produced. So I know exactly what you're talking about and where you're, you know, what you've been going through. Absolutely.
There's nothing worse than doing a full day of production and it's late and realizing I still have to label it. I still have to hand foil all these bars and still have to label the boxes, and it's going to be a good problem to have solved.
Absolutely. So you're making good and steady growth, right? What other growth situations are you running into? Are you running into production issues? Are you running into storage issues, space issues? You know, what issues are you running into that maybe people may not be aware of? You know, because with growth, there's always a problem. Like it never comes trouble-free. So what are you experiencing?
All of that right now. Everything you just mentioned is my current problem set.
Gotcha.
I feel like being an owner-operator of a business, which you have to be as a small startup business. You can't. I'm not in a position to hire somebody else just to make the chocolate or just to run the business. I have to do it all until I am in the position. So right now, my current problem set is I'm spending way too much time making chocolate. I'm doing it out of an incubator kitchen. That is the kitchen's a good kitchen, but it's designed for DoorDash, Uber Eats types of concepts where there isn't a lot of storage. And there isn't enough room to be able to move larger equipment into, a larger grinder, larger tempering machine, things that I need now. My current problem is I'm spending too much time as an operator and not enough time as an owner. So I had to find a larger facility that I can move larger equipment into, so that I can create larger batches of chocolate, so that I can bring the cost of the batch of chocolate down, so that I can increase the profit, so that I can hire people to help with these things. And then also by hiring somebody else to do some of these tasks, it opens up opportunities for me to be able to build the business, wholesale
and
accounts.
do sales, absolutely.
Yes. So that's where I am right now, and it's an exciting problem to have.
Yeah, gotcha, awesome. And so you have your product, it's doing well. How far in advance are you planning? Or, you know, because sometimes, right, a business, no matter what we want, a business decides where it's going to take you, or what direction, or what customers are going to, you know, it's going to gravitate to. So what's happening in your planning? Are you catching up to what the product's telling you, or are you able to kind of fulfill your plan? Like, tell me about that and what the next steps are.
I'm fulfilling my plan. Opening this chocolate business and making this chocolate, I've always had an intent to make an approachable chocolate. I feel like there's a lot of great chocolates, a lot of great bonbons and confections available. I feel like a lot of those confections are marketed towards a higher end clientele, or maybe not a higher end clientele, but they're marketed as a luxury item or a special occasion item, or something that you treat yourself to every now and then type of item. I want chocolate to be something that you can eat every day, and a good bar of chocolate or a good bonbon to be something that you can eat every day. So when I design the packaging, the branding, everything along the way, my intent has always been to make a high level product that is approachable for anybody. I want my brother who works on oil rigs in Southeast Texas to feel comfortable bringing a bar of chocolate to the backyard with his friends, where they have a fire and they're drinking beers and whatever. He's not going to bring some of the other luxury items to the backyard, but I want it to be a very approachable chocolate that people feel comfortable to eat at any time of the day, and that's what's happening. I have a lot of customers who are coming back and buying a lot of chocolate week after week from the farmers market, because they open it and they say, I can't not eat it because it's
awesome.
It's a good product, which is great. It's great feedback. But they're also creating the other problem for me, which is production.
Right.
So I love those customers.
Gotcha. Before you were having a conversation, before we started filming, about shipping in the summer and those things, and Catherine kind of stopped you so we can talk about it during this interview.
Sure.
So can we talk about that? So how is that working out in terms of shipping, and what challenges you're dealing with that? Because that's always a challenge to no matter what company.
Yeah.
Especially now.
So I started the business in March, the official start date, when I moved into a commercial kitchen and I started my online e-commerce sales. At that time, I didn't have wholesales. At the moment, I have 4 places that are wholesaling my product. I didn't have a farmer's market where I could sell my product. The only revenue source I had was an online market, which is fine in March. And a lot of people that purchased up front were friends of family and friends of friends and family. And as I slowly grew a social media presence, which isn't super large right now, but it's growing, every now and then somebody else would order. It was easy to ship then, because I can do the same thing that my competitors were doing and offer priority shipping at the same cost that my competitors were doing. However, when it started to get warm, I couldn't do what my competitors were doing that are shipping at a larger scale, which was to offer affordable shipping. To ship my product when the summer months came and things became warm, it was very expensive for a customer. It was nearly $22 for a customer to order what was already a moderately priced chocolate bar. So it was a challenge for me to try to determine, should I eat the cost of the shipping? Should I stop the shipping, or should I just make it the customer's decision? So I did that. I made it the customer's decision on whether or not they wanted to pay for cold shipping. I updated my shipping policy. I made it very apparent on the website of what the shipping policy was. During checkout, I added pop-ups to the website that advised, it's hot outside, make sure you purchase cold package shipping. I put every opportunity there was available for somebody to order the product and have cold package shipping. However, I didn't feel morally, I didn't feel like it was right to try to push products to customers to buy and pay the very expensive rates for shipping. So hopefully, as I grow, the economy of sales grow, and I'm shipping more often, and maybe I can bring those prices down as savings are in bulk. So as I grow the business and I'm able to order more cold package shipping containers, then I can make that more affordable for the customers.
Got it. So to keep the integrity of the product, you're actually stop shipping for that period and only started selling retail?
I didn't stop shipping. I was continuing to ship, but I let the customer decide if they wanted to
Gotcha.
purchase a cold package. It was available as a sales item, still at a little bit of cost to me on the online marketplace, but I didn't market it. I didn't push online sales through social media or email marketing or anything else.
Okay, gotcha. So what are the next steps for you?
I need larger equipment. I have a couple of spaces I'm looking at right now that to move larger equipment into. I need to, again, increase my batch size so I can lower my total price.
So let me ask you something, because something that happens to everyone, they start off small, right? Because you don't want to make that big investment if you don't know something's going to happen. And then they go slightly bigger and then slightly bigger. So where are you on that? Are you making a bigger jump? What are you thinking in terms of that's going to benefit your business?
Yeah, I'm thinking bigger jump. I'm thinking that the farmers market's closing soon. It's closing for me at the end of October, which puts us in a position to where we can enter winter markets. Right now, my retail space is a market. It's setting up a 10 by 10 space at an event and selling chocolate. But my retail space is also other people's retail space, so wholesale. So I'd love to be able to get into the wholesale market. I think chocolate is an impulse buy. It's easy for me to sell chocolate at a market because if I can grab somebody's attention, I can tell my story, I can tell the chocolate story, I can make the sale. However, again, chocolate's an impulse buy, so if it's sitting on the counter next to somebody's register and it's a local product, then they'll likely buy it.
Gotcha. And that's interesting that you just said, that you could get your story out there. And another thing we were speaking about before was in social media, people actually want to see you, right? They want to connect with the owner of the company. So tell a little bit more about that and the experience and how that's working for you. Because we always tell people that you're the best storyteller of your company.
Yeah.
You have that passion that no one else is going to have, and you can speak honestly about your product where other people don't have that ability. So how's that working out for you, and what are you doing to get yourself across?
So when I started the brand, Josh Chocolates wasn't a brainchild of mine. Josh Chocolates was a brainchild of one of Jennifer's coworkers. She brought chocolate to work, and her coworker said, "Oh, is this Josh Chocolates?" And that immediately, because I was trying to figure out what the name of the company should be, so that immediately rung a bell and said, "That's great. Let's do that." But when I made that decision, I made it with the intent of this is going to be a brand thing. This isn't about me. This is about the brand. We need to build a brand. We don't need to celebrate who I am. But what I'm finding is as I stand in front of people at the farmers market, I'm able to tell them about myself. I have a super long military history, a few combat deployments. I use ethical beans. I'm passionate about what I'm doing, and I always tell people, because they ask, why are you making the career change from the military to the chocolate world? And one is I'm reaching the end of 20-year mark in the military, but 20 years in the military is a long time, and being deployed so many times, you've seen so many. There's been so many opportunities, or seen so many not great situations, a lot of sadness, a lot of just bad things, and to be able to stand in front of somebody and give them the sample of chocolate and watch them smile is so wonderful.
What a different world.
It's a different world, it really is, and it requires a lot less work, which is good too. I don't know if that's true. It requires a lot of work actually to run the business, but it's satiating. It's something that I'm proud of, and it's something that I'm happy to do, and that I want to continue to do. And as I have these conversations with the customers, I'm realizing that they're coming back because they want to talk to me more about what I'm doing, and they're really happy to see that I'm the one behind the counters. It's an 8-foot table with a table cover over it. But they're happy to see that I'm giving the samples and telling the story and really standing in front of this product and continuing to push the product forward. So right now, we're at the point of continuing to building brand awareness, brand trust, not only in the brand but also in myself. And I'm finding just by being by being a good person and making a good product and doing the right thing, it's quite easy to do.